Hello everyone. Let's start with the last topic of endocrine disorder, that is hypoparathyroidism and hyperparathyroidism. Let's understand what is parathyroid gland and their hormonal function. The parathyroid glands are four small endocrine glands located behind the thyroid gland in the neck. They secrete parathyroid hormone, that is PTH, which plays a crucial role in maintaining calcium and phosphate balance. PTH raises blood calcium by mobilizing calcium from bones, reducing calcium excretion and promoting phosphate excretion in the kidneys, also enhancing calcium absorption in the intestines via vitamin activation. There is also another function for the parathyroid, that is PTH, also regulates phosphorus by ensuring excess phosphate is excreted through urine, keeping levels in check. Phosphate is important for ATP production, bone formation, and acid base balance in the body. Further, we will understand about the types of parathyroid disorders. So, the types are as follows, that is hypoparathyroidism, that is decreased PTH secretion, and hyperparathyroidism, that is increased PTH secretion. Hypoparathyroidism is a disorder where there is insufficient secretion of the parathyroid hormone, which is ultimately leading to the low level of calcium, that is hypocalcemia, and in the contrary effect, elevated phosphate levels, that is hyperphosphatemia. It's of four types. For the first one is acquired. In that case, there can be a damage or the removal of the parathyroid gland or any cancer to the gland. For the second one, it's autoimmune. As its name justifies, that immune system mistakenly begins to attack the parathyroid gland. And for the congenital one, it's from the birth itself it's present. And for the familial one, it occurs in the absence of other endocrine diseases or the developmental problems. On the other hand, for hyperparathyroidism, it's a disorder where there is overproduction of the PTH hormones, and which is ultimately leading to hypercalcemia and on the contrary effect, that is hypophosphatemia. Its classification is of three types: primary, secondary, and tertiary. For the primary, we will check the serum calcium levels and the PTH secretions are interrupted. For the secondary one, there can be organ system can be damaged, that's what it is leading to hyperparathyroidism. And for the tertiary one, in this case there is active secretions of excessive amount of the hormone despite the calcium proportions being normal. Now let's come to causes. For the first one is hypoparathyroidism. There we need to learn a mnemonic, that is go womb. G is for genetic disorder, other autoimmune diseases, Wilson disease, in which inherited disease that causes too much of the copper to accumulate in the organ. O is for the operation and surgical removal of the glands, magnesium deficiency, and the bones. For the other hand, that is hyperparathyroidism. For the primary one, there can be adenemas, hyperplasias, or malignancies. For the secondary one, there can be vitamin D deficiency, Paget disease, or renal failure. For the tertiary, often follows long-standing secondary hyperparathyroidism or the post-renal transplant. Now let's come to the risk factor of both the diseases. For the hypoparathyroidism, there is thyroid surgery or parathyroid surgery, any genetic cause, pregnancy or lactation in the mother. On the other hand, for the hyperparathyroidism, women are more likely to get this condition than men. Chronic renal failure, history of neck exploration or thyroid surgery, previous radiation treatment for cancer, severe or going vitamin D or calcium deficiency can trigger hyperparathyroidism in the patient. Now let's come to the pathophysiology of parathyroid disorders. For the first is hypoparathyroidism. In this, calcium is not released from the bones. It is less reabsorbed in kidneys. Vitamin D is not activating, and that is leading to hypocalcemia, causing neuromuscular symptoms like cramps, tetany, or seizures. On the other hand, for pathophysiology of hyperparathyroidism, excess of PTH is secreting, and that it is increasing calcium absorption from the intestine, calcium release from bones, and reduce calcium excretion from the kidneys. and it is leading to hypercalcemia and weakened bones in the patient. Now let's understand the clinical manifestation of hypoparathyroidism, which is mainly due to reduced secretion of the calcium, that is due to hypocalcemia, like muscle cramps, tingling, tremors, spasms, seizures, arrhythmias, hoarseness, dry skin, brittle nails, vitiligo, cataract. These all symptoms are due to chronic hypocalcemia in the patient. To learn all this, we can use two mnemonics. First is like CATS, is that is extended as C is for convulsions, A is for arrhythmia, T is for tetany, S for spasms, and PVT, Chen, Thar can be used to extend all these terms. Now come to the important sign and symptom, that is early indicator of hypoparathyroidism, in which we are checking for the positive chopstick sign or Trossos sign in the patient, which are diagnostic indicator of hypocalcemia. In the chopstick sign, a positive chopstick sign is a clinical finding that indicate neuromuscular excitability due to hypocalcemia. And in Trosso sign, the blood pressure cuff is typically inflated to a pressure above the patient's systolic blood pressure, usually more than 20 mmHg. For example, patient's systolic BP is 110. We have to inflate around 130 mmHg to maintain the pressure for the 3 minutes. And this is the way we need to assess the patient for the involuntary contraction of the hand muscles, which is positive Trosso sign and indicate latent tetany due to hypocalcemia in the patient. Hoarseness can be result of laryngospasm in severe hypocalcemia. As I have already told you, that is mainly due to the hypocalcemia in the patient that all the symptoms are occurring. Now let's come to the clinical manifestation for the other disease, that is hyperparathyroidism. First, we will check the gastrointestinal disorders for the nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite. This can be due to hypercalcemia affecting the gastrointestinal tract. For the another one, that is mental problem like neurosis or psychosis in the patient, it can be due to hypercalcemia affecting the neuromuscular activity. For the skeletal, that the bone pain, fractures can be present in the patient, it is due to excess PTH increases, that is what it is increasing the osteoclastic activity in the patient. And bone resorption weakens the skeletal muscle structure also, that's why it is all occurring in the patient. For the other hand, that is renal disorder, kidney stones, excessive urination and hypertension can be present. For the kidney stones, polyuria and polydipsia and uremia can be present. For the excessive urination, hypercalcemia leads to nephrogenic insipidus, causing polyuria. And for the hypertension, calcium can increase vascular tone and leading to hypertension in the patient. These systems stem for elevated calcium and the bone resorption. So this is all occurring due to high calcium level in the patient. That's what affecting all the muscles of the body. That is what it is all leading to more contractibility in the gut, weakens the system, weakening the bone due to osteoclastic activity and many more. Now let's come to the complication with both the diseases. First is for hypoparathyroidism. There can be chances of seizures in the patient, dental defects in the patient, renal issues, arrhythmias can be present. For the possible complications of the patient with the hyperthyroidism, that is arthritis, pancreatitis, severe hypertension can be present in the patient, and in secondary type, renal failure and bone deformities can be present. Now let's come to the part that how we will diagnose the patient with hypoparathyroidism. We will check for the low serum calcium levels, that is level will be low than 7.5 mg per 100 ml or less. For the elevated phosphorus level in the blood, that is more than 2.5 to 4.5 milligram per deciliter. For the magnesium, decreased magnesium level, that is adequate amount of help in releasing the PTH from the PTG. In chronic hypoparathyroidism, bone density may be increased as seen in radiography. For the diagnostic test of the patient with hyperparathyroidism, we will check for the CT scan when ultrasonography fails. And another one is MRI, that is used to observe the details of the parathyroid gland. Urine tests can be done Radiographic examinations can be done. In the urine test, we will check the creatinine clearance of the patient and also help to detect the bone cyst with advanced diseases, diffuses demineralization of the bones in the radiographic examination. And the last one is ultrasonography can be given to the patient, used for pre-operative localization of the parathyroid
We
glands.
have
already learned about the disease condition. Now let's come to the management part. That first is medical management of both the conditions. For the medical management of hypoparathyroidism, treatment includes calcium supplementation, oral or IV, vitamin D, calcitriol can be given, phosphate binders, PTH therapy for chronic cases, magnesium correction, and emergency IV calcium gluconate for the acute symptoms. On the other hand, for the medical management of hyperthyroidism, hydration to flush out calcium, medications like bisphosphonates and pelicamycin, dietary calcium and vitamin D restrictions can be done to reduce the symptoms of the patient. After medical management, here comes the surgical management, in which parathyroidectomy is often curative for the primary cases, done with minimal incision, and often same day discharge can be done. And risks include vocal cord nerve damage or post-op low calcium levels. After medical and surgical management, here comes the nursing management of patient with hypoparathyroidism and hyperparathyroidism. In case of hypoparathyroidism, we will monitor the calcium, phosphate, and magnesium levels, observe for the signs of hypocalcemia, educate on medication, diet, and symptom awareness, ensure airway safety and cardiac monitoring, provide emotional and psychological support to the patient. For the nursing management of the hyperthyroidism patient, a nursing care focuses on monitoring vitals, calcium, renal functions, managing hypercalcemia with hydration and loop diuretics, pain management and preventing kidney stones, educating patient on diet, medication and symptoms. For the post-surgery, monitor for the airway issues, hypocalcemia and infection in the patient. This can all be done by the nurses for managing the condition with the hypo and hyperparathyroidism. With this, we end both the conditions. Till then, keep learning and keep revising your concepts. Thank you.